Today, we're digging into a story that just completely took over the internet. It's one of those messy, super complicated dilemmas about love, loyalty, and the sort of unwritten rules of a breakup. And it all got started because one guy asked thousands of strangers to judge him.
Okay, let's get right into it. So, this is the question that started it all, posted on Reddit's Am I the Asshole forum. It sounds pretty simple, right? But the story behind it is, well, it's anything but. And man, it kicked off a huge debate about who owes what to whom after a marriage is over.
All right, so to really get why this thing blew up, we have to understand the story exactly as the original poster, the OP, laid it out. And it all begins, like these things so often do, with the end of a long marriage. At the heart of this whole drama, we've got three main players. First, there's the husband. He's 45 and says he was totally blindsided by the divorce. Then you've got his 47-year-old wife, who, at least according to him, had secretly been unhappy for years. And then the third person in this triangle, the wife's best friend, a 40-year-old widow who becomes absolutely central to this whole thing.
So here's how the husband says it all went down. He claims his wife was unhappy for a full 2 years, but never really told him. Then, one day, bam, she announces she's done living for me and the kids and that she wants to live for herself. The fallout was immediate. Apparently, when her own best friend didn't cheer her on, the wife just cut her off completely. And that leads us right to today, where the guy who got left and the friend who got dumped, well, they've started dating.
So how did that happen? How did this new relationship actually start? And what was the reaction that made this guy go online and ask for a verdict in the first place? Because this is where the story really takes off. Okay, this is a really important detail about the friend. The OP says that she, being a widow, was the only person who tried to save the marriage. She apparently warned the wife that she was about to throw away something incredibly precious, something that had been tragically taken from her. So after the wife cut them both out, the friend and the husband started talking, bonding over being pushed aside by the very same person. And this brings us to the big explosion. When the ex-wife found out they were dating, she went ballistic. The husband's logic was pretty blunt. He said, she left a vacancy. Why does she care who fills it? From his point of view, it's just a logical next step. But for her, it was clearly the ultimate betrayal. So the big question is, who did the internet think was right? The OP laid out his case and asked the court of public opinion for a ruling. And let me tell you, that ruling came in and it was loud and it was crystal clear. The response was, well, it was a landslide. A staggering 95% of the thousands of people who voted declared him NTA, not the asshole. Just a tiny, tiny fraction thought he was wrong or that everyone was to blame. It was about as unanimous as you can get online. And this comment right here, it perfectly captures what pretty much everyone was thinking. The top voted comment from a user named United Platypus 602 basically said the ex-wife's anger wasn't about love, it was about control. The theory is she never expected him to actually move on and be happy. She expected him to sit around being miserable while she went off to thrive. But why such an overwhelming verdict? I mean, really, why? When you dig into the thousands and thousands of comments, you start to see four clear themes emerge that really explain why so many people took the husband's side. So let's break them down. The first, and by far the biggest theme, was that this was a classic case of ego. The commenters basically argued that the second she ended the marriage, she gave up her right to have any say in his future. They said her rage wasn't from a broken heart, it was from seeing him move on without her permission, essentially refusing to be the sad backup singer in her new life story. And that idea flows right into the second major theme, which was this widely shared prediction that the ex-wife was about to get a serious reality check. This exact story popped up over and over in the comments. People were basically writing the script for her future. A few months of freedom, then the harsh truth that dating in your late 40s is tough, which leads to deep regret, bitterness, and eventually trying to get the husband back, only to find out he's happy with someone else. It's a really powerful and honestly pretty common narrative you see in these online debates. Okay, now, while the husband got a pass from almost everyone, the friend's actions were a lot more divisive. Her defenders pointed out that the ex-wife ended the friendship first, so any loyalty was off the table. They said she was dumped, just like the husband. But others felt like it was a clear violation of an unwritten social contract, the girl code, right? That your ex's best friend is always off limits no matter what. This is where things got really interesting.
And the final big theme kind of zoomed out and looked at the ex-wife's other friends. Remember, the OP mentioned her divorced friends were the ones encouraging her to leave. Commenters jumped all over this. They warned about the whole misery loves company effect and the danger of what some people called a divorce club. It really highlights this bigger idea about how much our friends can sway our biggest life choices.
Of course, with any viral internet story that seems just a little too perfect, you have to ask the question that's always lurking in the background. Is any of this even real? A small but very vocal group of people were super skeptical. They pointed out that the story hits all the perfect notes to get a certain part of the internet fired up. You have the stoic, wronged man, the selfish, impulsive woman, and the ultimate feel-good ending where the man finds happiness. They called it rage bait, a story that's perfectly engineered to go viral, whether a single word of it is true or not.
But in the end, whether the story is 100% true or a complete fabrication, it taps into something very real and very complicated. When a long-term relationship falls apart, what happens to all the friendships that were built around it? Who do they belong to? Are some people just permanently off limits? It's a messy, awkward reality that this story, real or not, really forces you to think about.